Hey everyone, in this episode we're going to talk about the film Glass. We're going to talk about the characters and how they were utilized, the pacing of the film, and we'll give you our thoughts on if we felt this film concluded the trilogy. This is episode 112 of the Reel-ists podcast. Hello listeners and welcome. I'm Donnie.
And I'm Oscar.
And we have our producer Ruben here. Hi, Ruben says. I forgot, were we still doing like Ruben has to come up with a movie quote, or
No.
did we abandon that?
He declined.
It's okay.
He politely declined.
I don't know if it was politely, but he declined nonetheless. I'm just kidding. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. Before we jump into our episode, I wanted to quickly remind you guys, we are on social media at Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I said at. On Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Team Reel-ists.
Or hashtag or whatever.
Yeah. And you can also communicate with us on YouTube if you want to comment on us, with us, about us, whatever. Also on iTunes if you want to rate us and leave us a comment on there as well. We'd more than appreciate it. I think that's it. So, jumping right into this episode, we saw Glass this week, Oscar and I, and Justin.
Shout out to Justin.
Which I guess you can say concludes this sort of trilogy.
Unexpected.
That wasn't intentionally supposed to be a trilogy. At least we didn't know
right.
so after Unbreakable.
Right.
Maybe M. Night Shyamalan was planning that the whole time. Maybe
there was talks in some of the interviews. He said that he had this idea for Split, or like around Unbreakable time.
Right.
But for other reasons, financial reasons, the studio wanting to do other projects kind of things, it never came to happen. Mm-hmm. And Split, he funded himself. So it was like one of those where he's like, I still have this idea that I do want to do.
Right.
I'm assuming that's how I interpreted from what he was saying from his interviews for this movie.
All right. Well, as always, Oscar, why don't you start us off with your initial thoughts of Glass?
All right. So I'm gonna do it on here. So I'm gonna be honest. I hadn't seen Unbreakable and Split until this week. I saw them both leading up to Glass. So it really was a nice big picture kind of overview that I got of this series. Now I will say, Glass is one that you do need to see before, or you need to see after you've seen Unbreakable and Split to really feel the satisfaction of the conclusion of this trilogy. Otherwise, you're just going to take it as a lot of questions that weren't answered, and you're just like not going to really get what they're trying to do with this story. It is going to be a spoiler discussion. I just realized we didn't mention that. But
yes, spoiler.
So overall, based on this movie, though, just seeing it, I was content with how they concluded it. And the reason why I was content was because I never wanted anything more than what they were like, what we were going to get. Like, I wasn't claiming for like, I hope this is such a big hit that we get more, related movies to these characters. I always took it as it was just a nice concept of, what if the superheroes were in the real world? How would people react? How would you react if you had powers? Do you feel like you have to do some heroic acts and stuff? And so it was nice to play with that. And I feel like with Unbreakable, we did get kind of this, introduction to it at a time before the movies were, flooded with superheroes. And we got Split where it was just a little bit different, where we didn't see it as like, this is a potential like villain that could be for superhero. And then Glass is just kind of wrapping it all around now that superheroes are relevant. So it was just kind of going with what was working with the audience. And I really felt like it was, it concluded in a nice way with these characters. However, as a movie though, there were some things that still were a little bit of an issue for me. Some pacing going on there. Just some of the story elements that they try to introduce that wasn't clicking for me, that we'll probably go a little bit more deeper. But yeah, so like story-wise, I was okay with. Just how the movie played out was where I was having issues with. Mm-hmm. And to me, the one thing, and I said this when we were watching Unbreakable, is just that to me, Bruce Willis was just not bringing his character in. Like he was not giving us anything that made us interested in the character. Like it was just like, I don't know, he just had this very like bland performance for this character of just like, oh yeah, superpowers.
It was kind of muted.
Yeah, and it was just like, I understand, maybe that's how the character is, but you can still find a way to make it work. Find us why you're like this, but it just, I don't know, it just felt like he wasn't sure how to play the character. That's how I took it as. He didn't know how to play this character, and he was stuck with it.
Okay.
But no, overall, story-wise, I think it's a nice conclusion.
I'm going to read you this novel that was written about the movie. M. Night Shyamalan brings together the narratives of two of his standout originals, 2000's Unbreakable from Touchstone and 2016's Split from Universal, in one explosive, all-new comic book thriller. Glass from Unbreakable, Bruce Willis returns as David Dunn, as does Samuel L. Jackson as Elijah Price, known also by his pseudonym Mr. Glass. Joining from Split are James McAvoy, reprising his role as Kevin Wendell Crumb, and the multiple identities who reside within, and Anya Taylor-Joy as Casey Cook, the only captive to survive an encounter with the Beast. Following the conclusion of Split, Glass finds Dunn pursuing Crumb's superhuman figure of the Beast in a series of escalating encounters, while the shadowy presence of Price emerges as an orchestrator who holds secrets critical to both men.
Where's that from?
Google.
Oh, okay. I mean, if you haven't,
that was thorough, right?
If you haven't seen the other movies, I think that's a nice little setup.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Google. So thorough. I love it. I thought that Glass was a overall good film. I thought that, like you, I felt that there were some little issues with certain things. However, I feel like it was exciting to watch. Obviously, if you've seen the first two, it's kind of like any time in history when you had these two standalone movies and then they come together. I'm not going to use like Avengers. I feel like that's a little much, a little exuberant of an example to use. But something that comes to mind sort of is like Freddy versus Jason. Like you had Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees, and then it's like, in one of the last Friday the 13th movies before that movie came out, you see Jason's hockey mask in the grave or something, and then you see Freddy Krueger's claw come up over it, and that's how it gives you a little sneak peek as to what's to come for the next film, which is
Alien vs. Predator. That one came.
Alien vs. Predator. That's another one. We're sticking to horror, I guess, right? But yeah, so that was exciting to see at the end of Split. You see a little Bruce Willis, and you're like, oh my God, they exist within the same universe. So obviously, the excitement for this one, I think, was there with the audience who's seen it. And I liked it. I thought, well, let's just start dissecting it a little bit. So I can tell you why I liked it. So we had, it's centered around pretty much the three main characters: David Dunn, Elijah Price, and Kevin Wendell Crumb.
Oh my God.
I can never say his name regular now because she was like screaming it in Split. Kevin Wendell Crumb. I wanted to ask you, did you feel like you got enough of all three of those characters in this cultivating film?
Yes. And I say that only because based off where they were at in this movie, there was nothing that they were really needed to be added with. So it wasn't necessarily like Split left us with, but who's this character? It gave us the premise.
They were all developed.
Yeah,
already.
They were developed in their own movies. Unbreakable being it had to develop both of them, and I think it worked well to develop those Mr. Glass and what's his name? What's his superhero name?
David Dunn.
No, but his superhero name. But David Dunn, yes, but he had a superhero name.
The something.
Yeah, that just shows you it doesn't stick. But yeah, so. It was, I feel like we got enough in that. So with this one, Glass, it really was just more of like tackling on, you guys think you guys are superheroes or villains. You guys think you guys have these powers that, are extraordinary. But really, is that the case? Or are you guys just resorting to this because you guys can't, find something else to do? In a way, that's kind of what they're approaching it with. Like, that do you feel like you need this to identify yourself or that kind of thing? At least that's what Sarah Paulson's character was really focused on. So I felt like this one was just really about challenging that notion, and really concluding that idea of, are the things you're doing supernatural or extraordinary, or is it simply just your perception of things? And she did a good job. I will say she was starting to get this belief going into these characters where they started to actually be like, oh, maybe I'm maybe who I thought I was it can be explained by science. And so I thought that was interesting perspective. But yeah, to answer your question, I feel like it was just continuing on. And that's why I say you have to watch this movie without seeing the other ones, with seeing the other one, should I say, because it gives you their insight, it gives you their backstory enough for you to be like, okay, let's just put you straight into it. It's kind of in the sense that you jumped into Harry Potter number 5, but you didn't see Harry Potter 1 through 4. The characters at that point are just going with the story where it's supposed to go rather than developing. I mean, there's still some developments, but there's a big story arc already starting by that point. So it's kind of just like that, where it's if you want to get a better understanding of these characters and this place, you do have to watch the ones before.
To piggyback off what you said, I really did like the whole. I feel like with whenever M. Night Shyamalan does a film, there's always this way where he makes the impossible seem possible. It's always like that's kind of one of the central focuses. One of the central focus of a lot of his films, like I think of Signs, which is one of my favorite movies, but taking something that is kind of more in fiction and science fiction, but making it applicable to real life and showing us, what really could be and how it could be. And I always really liked that about his films. And I like this one, I think, captured that really well too. And there's kind of that whole, science versus, faith, or logic versus faith kind of thing, which is where Sarah Paulson's character was introduced, and she was kind of planting those seeds of doubt within not only the characters but within the audience as well. Because when she was giving these sort of logical scientific explanations as to why they might be presumed superhuman, and she was saying, giving you reasons A through G as to why everything can be explained.
Yeah.
Then we started to doubt it a little bit, right? And then we're like, well, dang, maybe they're not superhuman. Maybe they're just in these really weird circumstances, that.
At first, yeah, it definitely has that impact. I feel like, though, when you think about it and you kind of start piecing together with like, but wait a minute, why is she doing all these lights in Kevin's room, or why is she putting these intense this intense room for David's character when supposedly if he's just human, why are you putting all these extra precautions? So it kind of was just like, at first when she's saying it, you're just like, oh, maybe you're right, but then you're just like, and I feel like David's character was getting like that. I feel like it affected Kevin, and then obviously Mr. Glass was not really there in the scene, but which I felt like was a missed opportunity. I would have loved him to counter back with her. That would have been an interesting.
He was definitely a little more suppressed in the first part of the film.
Yeah, pretty much, and that's unfortunate because he makes it interesting. He really adds an interesting dynamic. And I feel like he successfully does the counter of what she was doing, trying to, put in that doubt. And he was enhancing of like, these are abilities. Like, the way it's going to play out is going to be this way and stuff. So I liked his character. I think he's probably my favorite character, despite being the villain.
Okay, so that actually leads me, it was going to lead me to my next question, but you kind of answered that. I was going to ask you, out of the 3, which one was your favorite character?
Let me explain. No, yeah, and I really did like Mr. Glass's, and that sucks because he's like really not in it for most of the movie.
I mean, he's in it, and I mean, I guess in retrospect, he kind of is in it. It's just
right. He's in it, but
he's more
his act, his evil plan, and all that doesn't come in.
He's like from the beginning of the film, from before even the film started, he was already kind of had the wheels turning, and he was concocting this scheme,
right?
But we just didn't know it.
So, but the thing that I did like about it is because he's like a comic book fan to start it off, and not to say that all comic book fans have this idea that they're trying to explain, how life would be, or that they would know what to do. But I just liked that this knowledge that he gotten is helping him. And it's driving him a little crazy with, like, he wants to feel like he is part of the world or feels included. So that's why he did all those dangerous things to, find that one person with the powers.
Mm-hmm. All those terrorist acts.
But I liked his knowledge, and I think that knowledge is what was attracting about the character. The second character that I really liked Not that you said who are your top two, but I really liked David Sun's character.
Yeah.
I liked that he was down to be the
Joseph Dunn.
Yes, Joseph. Yeah, he was down to be the Robin to the Batman in some sense, but more of just like at the base and doing all the research and giving all the information. I mean, I can tell you more comic accurate he is like, but I think you would get lost.
Who's he like? Try us.
Oracle.
Oh, I don't know who that is. But our listeners might know who that is. So.
Yeah, that's true. But yes, he's more like Oracle to Batman. But.
Yeah. I got to tell you, I was really excited to see Joseph in the film because obviously he was in Unbreakable 10 years prior.
It was the same actor. That was cool.
Yeah, same actor. Spencer Treat Clark is his name. So that was nice. And then the woman who played Mr. Glass's mom, she was the same actress from Unbreakable.
It was hilarious that everyone was losing it on Twitter for a second that she is younger than Samuel Jackson in real life.
But playing his mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's always so bizarre. It's like, wow. Things we don't really think about when we're watching.
She shouldn't have been allowed to play that character because she was under. Just kidding.
They should. I'm not even going to go there. Okay, so I'm trying
First of all, how is she alive? If he's like, how old was his character? Actually, no, that's what I want to know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because he looked like he was in like the high 50s, maybe 60s.
This film or or Unbreakable?
This one. No,
okay.
Last one he looked younger, but it's...
Yeah, so she had to have, in real life, if he was even in let's say he was 60.
Yeah.
No, okay, 60, sure.
60.
She had to have at least been 85, maybe 80.
Wow.
If she had him when she was 20, she should be 80.
She was moving.
But she was a moving, active 80-year-old.
Yeah, she was good. She was looking good.
I'd probably say that I really did like Mr. Glass's character, even though he was the quote unquote villain, one of the villains.
Yeah, but David wasn't doing enough to really stand out as a hero. Kevin was.
I just feel like he was kind of one noted. Like he was.
Yeah,
just,
exactly.
I have to be the one to I'm a do-gooder, and I need to, punish these people that are evil, and that was it,
Right.
Whereas Mr. Glass had
his son had more emotion. That's why he's my second favorite.
And Mr. Glass, I mean, he had he had some depth to him, and reasons, some real deep-rooted reasons as to why he felt what he was doing was important for the cause. You know? So
and at this point, Kevin is more like a pet. Sadly, it's just like it was interesting to watch his other characters that he can become.
Yeah, it was kind of like he was being treated as a pawn.
Yeah,
in this,
but as a person himself, and the only reason why, because there was no conflict. It wasn't like Kevin was still trying to come out. I mean, there was a little bit of hint that they were trying to get Kevin to come to the light, but it was still just more about like, oh, he can be different personalities. We need the Beast. Like, who cares about the other ones? We just need the Beast. So
yeah.
It was sidetracked.
So just want to say, I think everyone can agree, James McAvoy gave an amazing performance, I feel, for being able to play all of those characters.
Yeah.
And just to move between them so quickly and fluidly, with every flash of the light that caused a new character to emerge. Man, I mean, I feel really bad. I'm really kind of slightly irritated that, these kind of films like Split and this one both came out in January. It's like you're not going to, even if you do see award season, which you're not going to, that's like all the way next year. And it's an M. Night Shyamalan film. His movies don't have a lot of history at the awards. Only one I think was The Sixth Sense. But it sucks. I wish I feel like he deserves so much recognition for what he was able to accomplish personally. And
I feel like in this movie, M. Night just wasn't wanting him to get kind of that spotlight. I know he tried to focus on the story, but he should have seen the potential that Split gave, and gave more to James McAvoy in this movie than what was given. Because I felt like this one was more of just like, oh yeah, let's rehash that he can do these different Split personalities. I feel like this one should have been an opportunity to explore the other characters. Because he said it was like 22, 23, right? personalities.
Yeah,
and,
24.
and we only see like 7 or 8 about in the first in Split, and so this one it would have been nice to see the other ones. We got a little hint of them.
We saw like a few more, maybe like 2 or 3 more.
Right, and
I really saw them.
I feel like this would have been an opportunity for him to had a moment where it was really like defining of like that interesting wow factor about his character as Kevin. But no, it was just it was more sidelined as a pawn.
Yeah, I wanted to ask. So, out of all the characters that we saw James McAvoy play, so we had Patricia, we had the Ludwig, I think his name.
Hedwig,
the 9-year-old boy. I want to say Barry, I think.
Yeah,
that's the OCD guy.
Yes.
Jade, she was like the flirtatious kind of one. She was like, "Can you pick that up for me?" We see, he was a couple of different characters. The Beast, one. Obviously.
Yeah.
A Spanish-speaking person.
Por favor.
Which character did you like him as the most? Which one really, like, every time he was that character, it did something for you?
In Glass only?
Oh yeah, I was pertaining to Glass,
just
but
Glass. To be honest, because we already saw all of it, it was more Kevin, because we got a little bit of Kevin in Split, and Kevin at this point when he kept seeing the girl, I forgot the character's name, but from Split, it was triggering more emotion and gave us more. The Beast, I wasn't too interested in, like physically.
Her name was Casey.
Yes, physically the Beast was awesome to see how he can really do some damage, but there was nothing that it was like all these characters were trying to do it for Kevin, but it was just like, well, what does Kevin want? What does Kevin want? It's kind of like asking that question.
Yeah.
And so I feel like Kevin was probably the most interesting one, just because we've seen the other ones, and we didn't get enough new ones to really find a new kind of character. But out of the other ones, I will say Barry probably would be the second one, of just like, because he had some, or at least in Split, it's kind of hard to carry it over in Glass, but there was some kind of internal conflict he was dealing with. He was like, I know we shouldn't do this. I know my intention is to do this, but like he had some kind of conflict that was cool to see.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I mean, I think he was fun to watch throughout the whole film, in any character really. I think I got a pretty good kick out of when he was Hedwig, the 9-year-old, and just, he had a lot of like funny things he was saying, and just the way things he did that were very youthful, like very childlike, and just the fact that he
listens to Drake now.
And he listens to Drake and Nicki apparently. But just the fact that he was the one that was able to control the light, or like to put himself in the light whenever he wanted, was really interesting. And I guess I like that. It just to me it makes sense, because it's like he's the child, I guess. So usually it's like, there's like because he's a child, because he has supposedly this innocence about him, or this purity about him, he's gifted with such a huge responsibility. I don't know. It just made sense that he would be the one to be able to do it. I also really liked him as the Beast. I mean, like anytime he was the Beast, I was intimidated, and I was nervous about what was going to happen. I think he was.
Yeah, his strength was really cool.
His strength, and just kind of his animalistic, kind of movements and behaviors, and even the scene where he was kind of like running on all fours outside on the grass, which is in the trailer. I really like that for some reason. I don't know. It's just, I mean, because it's not something you see, every day.
Well, and plus, if you see that in like someone down the street just randomly doing that, you're gonna freak out.
I'd be freaking out. Yeah, I'd be like,
you're just gonna be like, nope, turning it around.
Exactly. So James McAvoy he was awesome. They all were awesome, and the movie was awesome. So I want to just quickly talk about the third act, because a lot of things happened. I feel like we were coming out of the second act, going at it, cruising at it, nice like 30 miles an hour. And then we just like pushed it into like fourth gear, and now we're going 85. We're like, okay, we only got so much time left. We got to get all these things out. There was this epic standoff between David and the Beast. We found
Untouchable. Is that his name? Sorry, I'm just really trying to think of
David Dunn's name.
Yeah. Something like that.
Look it up. Look it up.
Continue. Just continue. Go ahead.
we found out that Sarah Paulson was a part of this organization, this weird under the radar organization that's trying to basically suppress, if not eliminate, people with superhuman abilities because the world can't handle it, and they have to try to keep the order of balance amongst everyone and keep it fair. And so that was like crazy. Spoiler, we already gave a spoiler alert, but all three of them die supposedly.
Yes. It was the overseer.
He was the overseer. Yeah, all three of them die. Mr. Glass, the overseer, and Kevin slash
and the Beast.
And the Beast slash 23,
the
22
Horde.
other persons. Yeah, the Horde. Everyone dies.
Dies by the agency, and it was like
by the agency, yeah.
Well, Mr. Glass died by Kevin for finding out the truth about Kevin
being the cause of...
Well, Mr. Glass being the cause of Kevin's death. Kevin's dad's death.
Yes.
Who was on the same train as David Dunn.
David Dunn. Yeah. And I know, Ruben, this is a lot to take in. Sorry. But, yeah. So then we're left with... and then we're left with Elijah, Mr. Glass, being the mastermind that he is, downloaded all of the security camera footage from the institution and sent it to Jake...
all the relevant characters.
Yeah. Anya Taylor-Joy, Kevin's girl,
right,
and Elijah's mom and David's son. So then they go and like release it into the world,
so the public can know about superheroes.
So everyone, will know that these superhuman people live among us. They walk among us. Who knows how many of them walk among us? That was from a TV show. I can't remember what it was from. Does that sound familiar to you guys?
This is a movie podcast.
Maybe like Hey Arnold, or like it's like a Nickelodeon show.
No,
who knows how many of them walk among us? Maybe it was from Arthur. I think it was Arthur. Getting sidetracked. Sorry. So yeah, there was a lot that happened, man. How do you feel about how the film wrapped up? How it ended? How we got all of that in the third act, and really the last like 20 minutes, and it was just like bam, bam, bam.
It's tough.
Did it feel like that to you?
It did.
Or am I just over here being
But
dramatic?
it's just, I felt like that was trying to, and I feel like that's where M. Night Shyamalan is trying to do his signature twist, but I don't think it was one that he allowed it to breathe to us to really feel the impact. One, as like, it was just as soon as the characters died, they reveal about this whole secret organization and how, Sarah Paulson's character, she was just like, yeah, we won. No one's going to know about these three that were actually super gifted. And then, like, 20 seconds later, we found out that there was another twist that, no, Mr. Glass did have all this saved, and who knows who has it now. And then 20 minutes later, we have the three other characters that released it to the public. I didn't like revealing it all, trying to kind of be like, wait, but there's more, but there's more, but there's more. Okay, now we're done. I didn't like that. It didn't put a bow to it. It kind of was just like, we're not making another one. We're just going to show you like all these little like teases. I don't know. I don't think it worked. It was working. The fight was working. I was enjoying that. All of it up until like she revealed that she was a villain. I feel like that's where it was kind of just like, you're not allowing us to take in what we're seeing. We're just being thrown in all this information. And
it's a little overwhelming.
Yeah. And it didn't impact me anymore. It was just more of just like, okay, just do what you want. I whatever. It was just like, I'm not analyzing anything right now. I'm just seeing what you're doing.
I'm just taking it.
Right. And so I didn't like how it was laid out to us. I feel like if they would have cut down a little bit on the extended, time of us trying to explore these characters' mind, then it would have worked out, rather than just trying to be straight up like plot twist, and plot twist. You get a plot twist. You get a plot twist.
You all get a plot twist.
That's what it felt like it was trying to do, and I don't think it worked.
Okay, I got you. I mean, I liked it for the most part. I thought a lot of it did work, but it was a lot, and it was all kind of crunched into a short time span. So it was a lot to breathe in, a lot to take in, and I don't know if maybe they should have started revealing these things soon, not so late into the film, or if they should have or they should have extended the film and made it longer, but I don't think it needed to be that long. But yeah, there was a lot going on, and to find out Sarah Paulson's character was a part of that organization, I don't know. I don't feel good or bad about it. It reminds me of like an episode of Charmed I watched. They were called they're in the show they were called avatars, but they were like it was that whole like we're here to restore or to keep order and balance in the society, and we're not good nor evil, we just are. It was one of those kind of deep thinking, thought provoking, weird ass things.
I mean, it's like Shield for
like it's like I don't, I could take it or leave it. It didn't take away anything.
It wasn't anything new.
Yeah, it wasn't anything new or original, but it didn't take away from me for the film.
What it should have done.
It was what it was.
It should have been that Sarah Paulson's character was a superpowered character, and that she was using like her mind powers to try to, like, make them think that they're not superheroes. That way, it's fine that she had this motivation of like, I don't want the public to know. Yeah. That was cool. But the whole organization, which felt very uncomfortable watching them, like when they would try to show them like having their meeting.
Yeah.
And it was just like everyone was just like enjoying their time, and all of a sudden they get quiet.
And then a dead silence out of nowhere.
And at first I was like, are they gonna all die? Are they gonna all faint? Or are they gonna do like some kind of like salute? And there's nothing until like.
Well, they were in like a public, like in a restaurant right on the street, like in like downtown Philadelphia. So I'm like, what if a random patron was like, hey, I want to go in there? Are they gonna be like, oh no, we're at full capacity?
I think they locked the door.
Oh, did they? I didn't see that.
Yeah, but. Still, but it didn't work out where you were kind of just like everyone there is part of the society. It was just like,
yeah, they all had that little tattoo on their wrist.
Yeah,
it's like a clover or something like that. But yeah, it was a lot. But it is what it is. Some people loved it, and some people didn't appreciate it so much.
Which is what you're gonna get with M. Night. You're gonna
either love it or hate it. Did you have any favorite scenes?
I really liked the beginning. Because I really liked the dad and the son, David and Joseph, really having that like Batman comfort level where they're just like, okay, who's the next person we got to go save, or who's the next threat. I felt excited seeing that. I was like, okay, they're in their roles in the sense like they've been doing this now. If you feel like you are picking up 18 years later rather than like they're completely different, or the mom passed away between Unbreakable and Glass, but it didn't distract where like they were just all sad and they were just like, yeah, I used to do heroic things but not anymore. Mm-hmm. It was still like, let's keep doing this. I really liked that. It was really energetic. And then I did also like the scene that she was trying to break down their spirits at their powered special people.
Oh, trying to explain it to them logically.
I didn't think it worked for her, but I liked how it was just kind of more of like that. Like, but have you ever thought of it? I just liked how she was trying to counter that. Mm-hmm. And I think the fight was cool but brief. But yeah, I would say the opening of getting that father-son dynamic duo team up and was just really nice because it started strong. It got me. I mean, me being a comic book fan, it felt like it was me jumping into like Avengers: Infinity War, where you just at this point everything's established and you're just going straight in. It was kind of like that. It felt like that, and also watching Unbreakable and Split the same week that Glass was out, kind of like had that continuation spirit. Mm-hmm. So I did like that start. It was cool.
Okay, I gotcha. I think my favorite scene.
Was the credits? I'm just kidding.
Was when we were walking out the theater. No, when honestly, I really did like the scene where the one you just said, where she was telling them why they aren't superhuman, because I feel like with the two films we knew that all of these three men are superhuman.
Yeah.
At least that's how I felt. We walked away with. Right. So then when she started explaining every reason, the Beast was like, well, how come, well, not the Beast, but I think it was Patricia, someone was speaking, Kevin or someone, and was like, well, he got shot with, shotguns, and she was saying, oh, the bullets were probably old. Yeah. They didn't pack as much of a punch. It
temporarily just like, I didn't think
just all these things that, and I was like, dang, it really started to, I'm like, what did we just watch with the last two films then? Like, if they're not superhuman, And then I was like, well, if they're not superhuman, it's just there's all for whatever reason it was able to work. I was like, does that mean anybody can appear to be superhuman, but they're not really? Like, it started introducing all this doubt and all these questions that I started formulating in my mind. And I was like, you clever bee. She was wrong. She was so wrong for that. But I did like that scene. Yeah. I didn't like them being in that pink room. That annoyed me. I'm like, this is like an asylum or an institution, psychiatric ward, and it's a pink room. Like,
I will say it also was a missed opportunity that Mr. Glass couldn't counter her. Like, it would have been nice to have that just like counter of be like, no, but if you think about it, blah blah, or whatever he would have said. But yeah, that'd been cool.
Yeah. So, with all that said, Oscar, what are you gonna give this film?
This one is gonna be a solid 3 out of 5. I thought it was a good story. I really like that it includes David Dunn and Mr. Glass and the Beast and all those characters that we've seen in the last 2 movies. I don't have any like interest to be like, oh, I want more. So that little open-ended ending didn't have that kind of satisfaction, but the characters it was just a nice way to conclude the bow of just like superheroes, superpowers in real life. How would that really play out? You know, how would someone react to that? I really felt like that was like, okay, cool, that was a nice idea. But I'm going to go back to DC and Marvel now. It was kind of like that little temporary stop. But yeah, the some of the things that the movie was trying to do, I didn't think was, working. The whole big showdown at that big building that they were just like, oh, that's where the fight has to take place. And
then we never got there.
We never got it. I mean, given that this is another movie that he also financed himself, I can see, I can see why,
ran out of money. We couldn't do that scene.
That's why they did it in front of a little yard. But yeah, overall, the first 2 halves, at first the energy was there. And as soon as they got captured, you were losing energy, and you're just like, okay, I know, based on what I see in the trailers, I know some things are going to happen. Like, I know that one security guard or security nurse or whoever he was going to die. Like, there were some things that were just like, okay, I know some things have to happen. Why are we taking so long to get to them?
Yeah.
And yeah, that just wasn't going there. They didn't go any further with the characters. They try to bring into this new character who she simply served just as a mean to get to this big showdown, this big twist about like, oh, actually, I'm trying to stop humans from humans from finding out about the truth. So there was just a lot of things that I was just like, I don't agree with the decisions that they went with. But I just say I'm satisfied with that it concluded the characters, and that's the only thing that really was a positive for me. Outside of some cool visuals, some cool, like when the Beast was fighting the security guards and Mr. Glass was just rolling away. Some things like that worked. I liked some visuals.
Yeah.
The scenes we talked about that are our favorite. So there was a lot of things that worked, but overall, I just felt like this movie it's not going to be one that I go back and be like, I'm going to watch Glass again because it was so cool. That twist, those twists at the ends were so awesome. I have to see them again. There was nothing like that. There was nothing that really is going to make me want to go back and see the 3 movies again.
Okay. I hate when we do this.
I would agree.
I'm gonna give it a 3 as well. I thought it was a nice conclusion. Although some could argue that it didn't really conclude it because it left a little room to like make more films within the universe. Yeah. But I think wouldn't
be surprised if there's a TV series or something
like that spins. Yeah. But at least for these characters, it's done. I think it's concluded. I think it was fine. But there were some you talked a little bit about some of the camera angles, and the ones that really annoyed me were when David and the Beast were fighting. I think they were like kind of pushing up against the van, and we had like the camera angle right in each other's face, and it just seemed a little low budget in that sense. Some of the camera angles did. And then some were really nice to watch and kind of, beautiful.
Yeah.
So it's like it was kind of hit or miss.
The other one, quickly, I didn't like also Kevin and the girl.
Oh,
like
at the end,
that whole like
the whole kind of like emotional bond they formed, and
I was like, she barely saw Kevin, so like, why does she have this? It didn't feel natural from the last movie. I felt like they just was like, how do we get her back? Well, let's just say she's caring about this
And it was 3 weeks after she got abducted.
Yeah.
So that was the thing that kind of threw me off. I could see if this was like a year or two down the line and she had time to process and pick it apart and really, dissect it and really think about it. But it was like right after, you're running back to him like you're in love with him. I was, I guess there was...
And she was in a way, because when he was dying... She
was pretty emotional, which, it's fine. I didn't mind that. I quite enjoyed that part. I just wish that the time span between the two events just threw me off and didn't make it believable for me.
Yeah.
So, another thing that really grinded my gears was the whole security at the facility and how it's like Elijah was able to kill one of the aides, and his body was there for I don't know how long. And for this place to be like, oh, there's security cameras and everywhere. We're gonna capture
and
everything.
No one's watching.
And nobody's seen this. And nobody's seeing what Elijah's doing, or what they're all doing, or how they're escaping. And then when Kevin, I don't know who he is. Maybe it's Patricia. I don't know. I think it's Patricia at this point, where he's wheeling Elijah out from behind the gate, and Patricia has on this headscarf thing, and the security guards just lets them out. I'm like, you're not going to recognize that these two are patients. One of them's a really new patient, and obviously, and if he has DID and has abducted all these women, you're going to know who he is.
Yeah.
A, and B, you could tell that he's not dressed like a normal employee there. I'm like, that all y'all need to be fired. Y'all all need to be fired. Y'all need to step up your security game. It's ridiculous. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
That was one detail that really was like, this is stupid. They could have spent a little more time making that a little more realistic.
Right.
It really didn't make sense. It really upsets me. And I love M. Night Shyamalan and a lot of his films.
It's a 1 now.
I'm changing my score. But yeah, for those reasons, I'm not giving it anything higher than a 3. I did like the cast. I liked the characters, and I liked the way it concluded the story. But yeah, 3 out of 5 for me.
Okay.
So Ruben hasn't seen it, so it's going to be a 1 for him.
1 out of 5.
Harsh, man. Harsh.
Dang.
So yeah, listeners, let us know what you guys thought about Glass. If you thought it was a great conclusion to this somewhat quasi trilogy, or if you had some issues with it, share your thoughts. Remember, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and iTunes. We are there.
Or B squared. I don't know. I didn't know if you were just
something like that. Thank you guys for listening, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.